Welcome to the 20,000 mile review of the Renault Zoe 41 kilowatt hour. So, thought we'd just head out for a little drive and discuss how this has been going over the last 20,000 miles. In fact, it's a couple of weeks later, so actually it's done now. Let's have a little look. 20,473 miles. So with this car, I've used it just like a utility. Now, obviously, many of you know, if you've watched the previous videos, I only paid 16 grand for it, brand new, which is pretty neat, really. So we've kind of worked out that in about 5 years, from fuel savings, approximately, it will have broken even. So had I have had a petrol car, even if you said 6 years, let's say, for the sake of benefit of doubt, yeah, it will break even, which is astounding. And actually keeping that in mind, it always blows my mind. The fact that you buy an electric car side by side against a petrol car, then yeah, you can actually break even on ownership. So obviously 3 years of that is covered by a warranty, so that's neat, having a 3 years warranty. Still haven't sorted out the creaking from the front shock or whatever it is. I've got to take that in, it'd be done in the warranty anyway. But so for the last 20,000 miles, I've had no issues whatsoever apart from that creaking. Everything's worked fine, it's not conked out. I've had no issues charging, nothing like that at all. It's all worked brilliantly. With the range of this, basically you always get 175 miles of range, essentially, all the way through the year. The most I've got up to is almost 200. I know there's people that have topped 200, but you have to drive really slow for that. So none of my journeys really need that much range. I'm not doing that many miles per charge. So I'm actually ended up charging it every 4 days, something like that. Sometimes every week, once a week. It just depends what I'm doing that week. Whereas with the Nissan Leaf, the 24 kilowatt hour, much smaller battery, having to charge it every day to be sure, just in case I need to pop out anywhere, I've actually got enough charge. This has always got plenty of charge. I've not struggled at all with the size of the car itself. One of the things that people told me is, among many things, is it'd be way too small. Leaf's much better in terms of size. It's built better. Everything about it is better. I haven't had an issue at all. I've got a Husky in the boot. Not right now, but I always carry a Husky around with me. Plenty of room, obviously taking the parcel shelf out. That's still brand spanking new. And I got a boot liner in there, not an official one, just one I bought off eBay or something for 15 quid, that covers the boot. So there is still hair in there, but a lot less than there would be otherwise. Now, taking the kids and stuff to football, so it's got all mud and all sorts all over it. The seats are stained from drink spillages and stuff like that. It stinks of dog in here. But if I was to go and clean it out, with an hour or so of cleaning, it'd be back like new again. It's just I don't bother because it's used, as I say, as a utility. It literally, I don't really care about it that much. It is designed just to cart us all back and forward without any issues. So maintenance has been no issue, as I said. The charge has been no issue. What more could you want? And the range is absolutely plenty. So I've been to London several times in it, Milton Keynes as well several times in it. It's just no hassle. You just end up popping to charges along the way, electricity charges along the way to see if you can get a free charge when you don't actually even need to pop in. So from that point of view, world apart from the smaller battery electric cars. Definitely. The Leaf was a challenge to drive. Enjoyable. I enjoyed the challenge and the ride of the Leaf. But this just takes it into a different category. And now with the new release of the Zoe doing even more miles, as I said many a time before, it's not really a lot to do in terms of video-wise on these because it's becoming so normal. It's actually blending across now into normal car ownership, which it never used to be. It used to be you head out for the day, it is going to be a mega challenge. You have to plan everything. Whereas with this, just jump in the car, hardly ever think about it. Also, one of the problems I've had with it is with my Pacific charger that I've got on my wall, which is a very nice charger, as you may have seen in previous videos, fitted for free. It won't work with the scheduling on this car, so I have to plug it in as late as possible into the charger if I want to get on my eco tariff. So I've got economy 7 meter. If I want that cheap rate, which is really cheap, I think it's 5p a kilowatt, something like that, I have to plug it in. Obviously it starts at 12 midnight and finishes at 7:30 in the morning. If I want to grab that space, I need to stay up late and then plug it in. So it's a bit of a bind, that, or I could just plug it in and charge for an hour or two at the more expensive rate, and then the remainder of it's in the cheap rate. So that has never worked properly. Many of you will probably comment saying, no, what you got to do is this, this and this, but none of the fixes work. Renault don't know why. It's something to do with my charger, according to quite a lot of commentators on the subject, this specific one. So don't know, doesn't work. Tried absolutely every single thing in the last, what is it now, almost, is it 2 years coming up, or gone 2 years, can't remember now. But anyway, it doesn't work. No, give up with it completely, don't bother doing that. I've had many people say they got the exact same issue as well. So that is a bit of a downer in terms of scheduling. So Amy's car, the ENV200, which is a 24 kilowatt hour battery, that she plugs it in when she gets home or whatever, 6 or 7 o'clock, and that won't come on to charge until midnight. So it's always charged on the cheaper tariff unless she overrides it. So that's pretty cool. On this one, not so cool. App seems to work fine for me. Hardly ever use it at all. In summer I use it to put on the preconditioning, so it's cooled down to 16 degrees or whatever for the dog. So when he's in the back, of course you have to leave a note on the windscreen saying, by the way, it's cooler in this car than it is outside, so don't break the window. If it's 24 outside, it could be 16 inside kind of thing. So I very rarely take him out with me in that sort of heat to leave the car anywhere. So that's a neat feature that works in the app, no problem at all. Another neat feature I like about this Zoe is the eco button in terms of dialing down the air conditioning. So you can have the aircon on, and as you bring it down into eco, it actually pretty much brings that power down to next to nothing power consumption of that system. That is a nice little feature. The thing I do miss, it hasn't got a mode button like you have in the Leaf, where you press mode and then with it off, so you don't have the climate control on, you just press mode and it still allows air to flow into the cabin. Whereas how I've got it now is off, so there's not a fan noise. There's no air flowing through the vents. You can do the mode button where it opens those up, really. As soon as you press any of the controls, then it turns on the climate control. Having to turn it entirely off by turning the fan all the way down until it gets into the off position is a bit binding, rather than just having an off button. You can't do that. But aside from that, it's been working perfectly. So it's cooling really well and heating really well. No issues there whatsoever. Everything else on it is all worked, all the electronic components in terms of the mirrors, climate control, reversing camera. They did do a recall on the reversing camera for my unit and replaced it. I had to get some specialist equipment in. Works fine ever since. Sound system, absolutely fine. No Apple CarPlay, which is a bit disappointing. I know there's a hack out there to do it, but I'm not going to do that. Don't want to. Or is that with Android Play as a hack? Perhaps it's not even a hack for Apple Play. Don't know. Comment below if there is. But I won't be doing that. Not while it's in its warranty anyway. So that's a bit of a shame. It'd be nice to have that functionality, which I suspect there will be in the later version anyway. Not on this one, sadly. One issue actually I've had is the charge port flap. It gets stuck because of it's not used that much. Say once a week, maybe twice a week. The way to get around it is before you press the button, go and press the badge at the front, then go round and press the button to open the flap. Probably having some WD-40 or something on the rubber seal would solve the problem. Probably need to try that, but that's not the inside one, it's the actual outer badge. You press it, it doesn't flick open. You can press it over and over and over and over again, it still doesn't flick open. You have to go and press it, and then it flicks open. So that's just a little niggle, which can be quite binding, but then we're not charging that much. So from that point of view, it's not a major problem. So I had a flat tyre in this car, and of course, this isn't a specific problem with this car, it's a specific problem with a lot of modern cars, is there's no spare wheel. Not only that, my locking nuts were in the handbook, which I've kept in a safe place at work. But it would have been and there's no wrench. So you get the locking wheel nuts, but you get no wrench to go with it. That's not part of the kit, which I couldn't quite believe. But never mind. That's not that important because there's no jack. So even if you could have those tools with you, you'd also need a jack as well. So when I hit a manhole cover in the middle of the forest with no phone signal, I had to walk back with the kids for over 1.5 miles and then go and get the necessary tools to do the job, to take the wheel off, take the wheel over to Gloucester to get a tyre fitted same day because no one else had one locally, and then come back and then fit it, leave it sat on the jack. So it would be great if they included spare wheels. It really, really would. A little space saver just to get you home. I mean, come on. We need that. But that's a problem of all cars. But worth bearing in mind. Comes with a compressor and some of that gooey stuff, but completely pointless. Completely pointless. Well, there we go. That really is a overview, summary of 20,000 miles on this beautiful car. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Many of you have probably drifted away because it's been so many months. And I'll probably be back on in about a year's time when I've done 40,000 miles, something like that. But I hope it's given you an insight into ownership over about 2 years and 20,000 miles. Cheers, guys.
Okay, so come out.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then get back in.
Is it natural?
Yeah, very natural.
Should I do it naturally as well, just so we've got two takes?
Yeah, it will be good.